It's Amanda with Holy Grounds Meeting Place. I've been praying a lot about when to share Aiden's story and what I might share with you guys, and today feels like a good day to do that. I'm sitting at a park, listening to the little kids play, and I guess I haven't really been sure what to share from Aiden's story with you guys. What parts are the important parts for you to know? And I guess I decided to start at the beginning because when Aiden was born, I was not walking with the Lord. Not in a lot of ways. And I was going to church every Sunday. I was always a Christian, but I guess I never really truly knew or cared to know what that term really meant to me. And when I got pregnant with Aiden, we went to an ultrasound to find out if he was a boy or a girl. And we found out that he was a boy and that his heart was very special. We started attending appointments with a cardiologist while I was still pregnant and getting echocardiograms done, and we found out that he had 7 heart defects. Of those 7 heart defects, one of them was called dextrocardia, which means that his heart was on the other side of his chest, and it made him very, very special. I really believe that Aiden had the most special heart there was. Before he was a year old, he had 2 open heart surgeries, and the second surgery he had was in August, and he was 8 months old. And I remember thinking, what would I do if I had to leave the hospital without him? Like, how would a parent do that? And I asked the nurses, and their response was, it's really hard when that happens. And I tried to imagine, but I didn't want to allow myself to even think about what that might feel like. Well, miraculously, after his second open heart surgery and a lot of recovery time, he recuperated. And the doctor said, as a heart baby, he won't eat the way other babies do. He won't grow the way other babies do. But from literally his first day of birth, he did everything that everyone said he wouldn't. And the surgery he had when he was 8 months old was actually the surgery that most kids in the same situation wouldn't be able to have until they were 2, because they would need to grow and get healthy. And he was grown and healthy enough at 8 months old to do the surgery. So we saw him recover miraculously, and for the rest of his life, nobody knew he had open heart surgery unless it was summer and he was swimming and he had his shirt off and you could see the scar on his chest. I remember the day that he collapsed like it was yesterday, and I wasn't even there. My husband was with him, and he had just come home from first grade, and he was jumping on the couch and super rambunctious, and then he ran to the bathroom and let out a yell and collapsed and became unconscious in our bathroom. And my husband called me. I was an hour and a half away, and he said, I think he's having a heart attack, and I don't think you're going to make it back to say goodbye. And I remember just sobbing on my way home and just praying that I would just make it, at least to see him one more time alive. And when I got there, we went through testing and testing and testing. And the Lord laid it on my heart that he had a brain tumor. The doctors all thought I was absolutely insane. My husband thought I was insane. But then they did a CAT scan after a lot of prompting and found that his brain was bleeding, and later determined that the blood was coming from a tumor that was inoperable and located in his thalamus, which means basically it was in his consciousness and there was nothing they could do about it. It was diffuse, which means it basically spiderwebbed all through the center of his brain. And I guess what I learned from that is that oftentimes you think something will go one way. Like, we thought he was having a heart attack, and it turned out that it was actually a brain tumor. And honestly, that day, the anniversary of that day was last week. And when you go through something like that, I think with Aiden, we got a death sentence. And when you're told, like, your kid has something that is going to kill them, and at most, you'll be lucky if you get a year. I'll be honest, I don't think there's anything worse than that as a parent, because you have to be strong for the child, you have to be strong for your other kids. And I was kind of wondering, like, what do I share, right? And this video is extra long, but I think it's for good purpose. I decided to share that Aiden's life mattered. It mattered because Aiden taught me that miracles happen, and he taught me that I could be a good mom. Before Aiden was born, I really don't consider myself to have been a very good mom. But he came along and he needed so much extra help with his heart conditions that I had to learn how to be a good mom. And I had to learn to rely on God when he was going through heart surgeries. And Aiden changed my life, and he changed the life of his siblings in such a positive way. And I will always be grateful for that. And today, if I can find encouragement from this story, it's that even though I wouldn't have chosen what we went through, I see so much hope. And I've been reading the book of James over and over, and in James it says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." Often when we're faced with trials, I think we think it's a punishment, or like we've done something wrong. And sometimes that's not it at all. Sometimes God is using something in your life, something hard, to teach you something new that you need to know. And what I know is that Aiden is happy, that he is with Jesus and dancing and singing and smiling. He had the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. And I don't have to worry about him, but I do have to worry about me and what I do next. if you watched this whole video, thank you for sticking with it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night.